Hello and welcome to Future Leaders in Philadelphia. I'm your host, Derrick Sawyer. We bring this show so we can highlight young people in our community along with local organizations who are striving to make Philadelphia a better place. Our focus is our next generation of leaders. Today, I'm going to be talking to members of the nonprofit Beat the Streets Philadelphia. Founded in 2009, this group combines tutoring and mentoring with wrestling to guide young people along the successful path. Beat the Streets Philadelphia works with 30 youth, middle school, and high school programs in Allentown, Camden, and Philadelphia. They also pair the young student athletes with mentors from local universities to help them achieve success in the classroom as well. Here to tell us more about Beat the Streets Philadelphia is Executive Director James Mangan. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Derek. Appreciate you having us.
So how you been, all right?
Yeah, it's gearing up towards wrestling season. Winter's the busy part for us, so you know you get that cold, crisp air.
That's right.
And we just know wrestling's right around the corner. So
great. How did Beat the Streets get started?
So about 10 years ago, there was this movement to potentially pull wrestling from the Olympics. I don't know if you remember that, but it was big in the news.
Yes.
Wrestling is one of the oldest sports known to man, and so it woke up some people that weren't necessarily paying attention. People who wrestled in the past and attributed wrestling to being a large part of their success. And so a group of individuals who attended University of Penn and University of Drexel and were a part of that wrestling team saw that as an opportunity to invest in the youth of Philadelphia using the sport of wrestling. Interestingly enough, an individual in Camden reached out to that group and said, hey, we could use some help.
Right.
We could use help with the purchase of a mat. A wrestling mat started the movement to create Beat the Streets as we know it today.
Nice. So it started 10 years ago. How has it grown since then?
So 10 years ago, Philadelphia had wrestling 10 years ago. This
Right.
isn't a new concept, but it was really limited. There were 8 high schools that offered the sport and 1 youth program serving the community. Since that time, Beat the Streets over the past 10 years has grown more than 6-fold the number of participants in Philadelphia that are engaged in wrestling. So there was fewer than 200 10 years ago in areas that served at-risk youth in
Right.
Philadelphia. We're over 1,000 today,
That's
going
great.
from 9 programs to 30.
9 to 30. That's great. On your website, there are 4 core values, right?
Correct.
Explain those for me.
Yeah, so I think when Beat the Streets started 10 years ago, there was a mission. Use the sport of wrestling to positively alter life's trajectory for student athletes living in at-risk communities. So I think that concept still holds true today.
Right.
And we've talked about, well, how do we go about doing that? What makes Beat the Streets Philadelphia so special? So a few years ago, we polled student athletes, current, past, parents, employees, volunteers, and a few words came out of what made Beat the Streets so special.
Right.
The word grit is probably the piece that's been with us for a while. Angela Duckworth wrote a book on grit.
Right.
Talked about the passion and perseverance. When those two things combined, you can achieve any long-term goal. I think wrestling innately develops grit. I know firsthand as a former wrestler, I learned grit through the sport. Compassion, service, and team are the 3 other core values that we live by at Beat the Streets. And we could talk about any individual one of those, but they all work together
Right.
to help us develop grit in the student athletes we work with.
Where did you wrestle at?
So I'm a Frankfurt High School
Frankfurt,
alum.
all right.
Yeah, so it's a program that we currently support today. And I learned to wrestle at Rizzo Pal in Port Richmond.
Wow.
Oh,
Pal Center.
geez, 30 years ago was my first day of practice. And that program still exists. That was that one youth community center.
Right.
It made a difference in my life. Beat the Streets now supports that program and 13 others just like it.
Great. Who are your target audience?
So we serve kindergarten through 12th grade.
Kindergarten,
That's
wow.
our target. It's pretty wide. And, really, Philadelphia is one of the poorest big cities in America.
Yep.
If you've been around the city, you know that. 1 in 3 won't graduate high school. 1 in 3 live in poverty. So we want to make sure our programs are serving those communities where those student athletes live and could use the additional resources. So whether you're a kindergarten student through really 8th grade, you can access our programs that serve the community. And then every Philadelphia public high school that offers wrestling we're in and we're working with the School District of Philadelphia to support those programs.
Great. Are there any special requirements to be part of that Beats the Streets?
Yeah, not really, right? If you just want to wrestle and you want to learn more about the sport, the access is really easy. 100% of our programs are free. It doesn't cost anyone anything to participate. Now,
That's the best price.
yeah, best price. You know what? And it's not a representation of the quality of the programming either. I
Right,
think
right.
sometimes people hear free and think it's the bare minimum.
That's true.
It is some of the best programming available in the country, in my opinion, and that of others, we've been told. So I think free programming, you just have to show up and be willing to work hard, and you'll get out of the mat what you put in tenfold.
So tell the audience what the process is if they wanted to sign up or join.
Well, I think the best place to find out more about Beat the Streets would be our website, btsphilly.org. There's a really great interactive map that we just launched last month, so you can type in your zip code or your address and interact with that map and see what program's closest to you.
Right. Great. And if they want to, you are a nonprofit,
Correct.
so if they want to donate, that's the same website?
Yeah, so that founding group of board members that started this 10 years ago, they've been extremely generous with their own donations and making sure that 100% of the non-programming costs, plus a little bit more, they
Right.
fund, right? So we really rely on local businesses and individuals to help provide that gap. So 100% of non-board contributions directly support programming. So on that website, there's a red button in the top right corner. You
Can't
can
miss
click
it.
there. Yeah, you can't miss it. And you know, if you're compelled by anything that you've heard today, you know, we're serving at-risk youth. We're in the pockets of the city that have the greatest need.
Right.
You know, if you're a wrestler, that's easy. You already know.
That's
If you're a
right.
wrestler and you're listening to this, go to that website right now and click. You have no reason not to. But if you're a non-wrestler and you don't quite understand,
Still go to the website.
well, I think when we talk about what we really aim to do, positively altering life's trajectory, using the sport of wrestling as a hook to keep kids engaged, give them a reason to keep coming to school, reach graduation day, and then provide the resources and mentoring to help them pursue post-secondary options. You know, I think anyone can believe in that mission.
I
So
agree.
I think those individuals who align with that, forget about the wrestling component, just think about the value to the student athletes. That's worth giving to.
I agree 100%. You talked about earlier that we're coming up on wrestling season. Do your program or programs only run during the season, or is it an all-year event?
Well, I think when you think of the landscape of sports today, everything's specialized.
Right.
Everything's year-round, right? We want to compete with that. The very best wrestlers are competing year-round. So we certainly have programs that operate 10 months out of the year.
Okay.
But the reality is 12 weeks in winter is a great opportunity to get engaged with wrestling and learn more about it. And the vast majority of our programs focus on that winter season. And if you like it, there's opportunities to go
Further.
deeper and further. Now, what I will say is our mentoring center in University City, you won't find a wrestling mat anywhere in that building.
Wow.
And, you know, I think, well, you're a wrestling organization. Why don't you have a mat?
Right.
Again, that commitment to mentoring is really important to us. So when you're in our mentoring center, you're working on academics. You're working on your own personal goals. So that building is open and accessible year-round. Immediately after school until 8:30 at night during the school year, and then during the summer months, we're open during those 9 to 5 hours where students are always looking for something worthwhile to fill their time with.
Good. When you think about wrestling, for the most part, we think about boys, young men, right? Are there any women or young ladies getting involved in wrestling?
There's nothing growing faster
Really?
than female participation in the sport of wrestling right now.
That's huge.
It's really an exciting time if you're a young woman or a girl and you want to learn about wrestling. Now is the time to get involved. More colleges are adding women's programming than ever before.
Right.
East Stroudsburg University, Lock Haven, Gannon University, those are just 3 in Pennsylvania. And the movement, NCAA has identified women's wrestling as an emerging sports status. So there's going to be tremendous opportunities for girls who are getting involved today at the youth level to have opportunities to use that as a vehicle to enroll in
future.
college and have options later
That's
in
great.
life.
Non-traditional sport for them, right?
Yeah, and I think it's a non-traditional sport for anyone getting involved, really, right?
That's true.
But
you don't hear about the wrestling as much.
100% of our programs are co-ed. So if you're a girl and you want to get involved, there's no program that's going to turn you away.
Great.
Now, I had 5 sisters growing up, and I was the only boy. Any one of my sisters wouldn't have had a problem joining a co-ed program.
Right.
But I have some nieces right now today, they're not comfortable with that. I have a niece who wanted to get involved in the sport. She was interested in it, but it was a little intimidating for her to go into a co-ed environment for her first practice. So we realized that that's an obstacle potentially. We do have a girls-only program that operates during the winter season.
That's huge. When you think about the mentoring piece, how do you go about pairing your mentors with the students?
Yes, the Mentoring Center really focuses on those high school years where it's thinking about transitioning out of high school really starts in 9th grade anymore.
Exactly.
So our Mentoring Center is based in University City. So we have wrestlers from Drexel and Penn serving primarily as our near-peer mentors. The pairing happens pretty organically. Student athletes are coming in and using that as a drop-in center, and our mentors are present and engaging. And we have some lead mentors from Penn and Drexel that are really tasked with finding out what the students' interests are and maybe what that mentor's background or what they're going to school for, and finding those natural matches.
What would you say that the students are getting out of your program? If you were trying to sell it to a parent, what would you say, this is why you need to send your son or daughter to my program?
Yeah, I'd go back to what we talked about on grit. The single greatest determining factor of success in life is grit. And wrestling teaches that. So if you have somebody who's aspiring to believe in better, to believe in a better outcome, we're a great environment to surround your son or daughter with positive influences, individuals that are pursuing college, who are wrestling at a high level collegiately, who a couple years ago were in the same shoes as your son and daughter, thinking about where they might want to go to school and what it's going to feel like to walk down and receive their diploma on graduation day. So grit, greatest determining factor of success. Our program does that. It's completely free. And at the end of the day, it's actually fun. So it gives you something fun to do with some positive influences in your life.
Exactly. So before we wrap up for this session, give me one success story.
There's so many good ones. And I think the beauty of our mission is we meet kids where they're at. So we have individuals that have performed at the national level and the international level and have won some of the biggest tournaments in wrestling. And those stories are great. We have individuals where simply learning the self-confidence to speak clearly is an example of success. So it doesn't matter where you start. Our mission is about positively altering life's trajectory. So you adjust that a couple degrees and extrapolate that over time. If you want to be a superstar wrestler, we can provide that. If you just like the sport of wrestling like myself, I wasn't the greatest wrestler, but I used it as an opportunity to improve my own abilities and my own character. I think that's great. And I think you're going to talk to 2 individuals in a moment who are both shining examples of success in this organization.
Great. Well, I want to thank you for coming on.
Great.
And I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Appreciate it so much.
When we come back, we'll meet 2 young men who have participated in the Beat the Street program. Please stay with us.
What's up, man?
What's up, Greg? Hello?
Don't be nervous.
Are you the one who's been watching me?
We've been watching you this entire time.
Who is this?
You should already know who's watching you.
What do you mean?
It's us, LaSalle.
LaSalle?
LaSalle TV.
Oh, we are watching LaSalle TV.
Welcome back to Future Leaders of Philadelphia. I'm your host, Derrick Sawyer. Today, we're talking to Beat the Streets Philadelphia, a youth development nonprofit that combines mentoring with the sport of wrestling. Their goal is to inspire and motivate student athletes living at risk, underserved communities. It's time now to meet some of the young people involved at Beat the Streets. Welcome to Beat the Streets mentor and program alum, Usman Jari, and Central High School and student wrestler, Abubakar Diaby. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How you making out?
Good.
Good.
You messed it up a little bit.
A little bit?
Abubakar,
I
but
get it
it's all
next
right.
time.
Yeah,
Abubakar.
yeah.
Gotcha. Usman, tell us how you got involved with Beat the Streets Philadelphia.
So initially it was wrestling. They wrote me in through wrestling. They didn't tell me I was going to be doing academics.
They didn't
But,
tell you none of that,
yeah,
right?
It wasn't a problem though. It was the fall of my junior year of high school, and then like I wanted to get to the next level of wrestling.
Right.
So I was looking for outside resources, and it wasn't hard to find. Beat the Streets is part of wrestling everywhere. So I reached out and started going to practices during the summer, and eventually I was coming in all the time. And then one of the main mentors there recruited me to the mentoring center. I didn't even know they had a mentoring center, and then once I got there, that's where it started.
So you always wanted to be a wrestler?
I started wrestling sophomore year of high school.
Late?
Yeah,
right?
late. Yeah.
So what kind of attracted you to the sport?
Just Julian, our coach, he was recruiting hard, and then I felt like it was something that I wanted to do.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Abubakar, what about you? How did you get involved with wrestling?
I got involved with wrestling in 7th grade. So like I was talking to my coach. He wrestled at. He didn't wrestle. He was a jiu-jitsu athlete.
Nice.
And so he saw my work ethic and was like he thought I would be a good fit for a wrestling team. So I like scouted the practice for one day, and I saw it. I loved it. I fell in love with the sport since then. And I was joining Beat the Streets that same year, like later on in the season, because I just happened to be looking, like Usman said, looking to get to the next level.
Right, right.
So I was looking for resources, and Beat the Streets happened to be there for me to better the sport and academically also.
So now you're at Drexel, right?
No, I'm still in high school.
You're at Drexel.
Yeah, I'm at
He's
Drexel.
at Drexel. Yeah.
Okay, so you're at Drexel, but you're still a mentor for Beat the Streets.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to stay on and become a mentor?
The main reason why I'm a mentor is because I understand the impact a mentor can have on a student. I actually, when I was in high school, I was assigned a mentor from UPenn, and at the time I was going into college for pre-med. He was pre-med, and it was like perfect. He was telling me his experiences. He was telling me the classes he had to take, like the work he had to put in, and he was just giving me all this background information. And it was really, like, it really helped me make my decision at the end. And also, he, like, SAT prep. I'm a first generation, citizen.
Okay.
So, like, I didn't even know, like, you were supposed to study for ACTs. Like, I went to Central, but I didn't know that. So I was like, my first ACT, I just walked in and took it, and I was like, okay. And then afterwards, I was like, okay, I need help. I need to get my score up. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So he was there, and like during the summer, I would just come in every single day, and we would just work on it. And just having that individual person,
Right.
one-on-one matched up with you was really impactful. So I would credit him for helping me get into college.
Great. Abubakar, what would you say is your favorite part of the program?
My favorite part of the program is having a location based in the city where it's like easily accessible. Like you can go and interact with your friends, interact with mentors, and learn different things. Like for me, the biggest thing I learned coming into the program was the ability to communicate with people properly. Because like growing up, I wasn't able to like communicate what I wanted to say
Right.
as efficiently as I wanted to. But going to the office more like helped me like better my speech like abilities. And also I would say like the academic support and the advice they give you for college applications, because that's really important for like first generation students like me and Usman.
Right, right.
Like Usman probably didn't have that like since freshman year, but I did. So like it's helping me get to like a better stage in my life with college and all
That's
that.
great. What would you say are some of the leadership skills you've developed in the program?
I developed like teamwork skills and leadership skills because I was able to like, I'm able to work with a group of people, hear their opinions and give a solution to a problem or stuff like that.
Right.
And I'm able to like hear both sides of the story and similar stuff like that, yeah.
What leadership skills would you say you've developed?
Me, so I'm the head mentor, but it's like the same title as mentor. So what my responsibility is to like facilitate matches between college like wrestlers like Drexel and UPenn and Temple wrestlers with students, find their interests, and then match them up together, get them to communicate. So that's my main responsibility, and I also have like a managerial responsibility at the mentoring center. So I basically like I manage, make sure everything's functioning correctly. So like these are valuable skills that I've learned.
Great. Both of you, how do you think your experience will impact your future? So moving forward 5, 10 years from now, your experience that you've had, how will it impact?
From wrestling or from?
From both.
Okay,
Yeah, from both.
so from wrestling, grit, of course. Like I feel like I can tackle anything just from wrestling. Like
No pun intended, right?
like I feel like school is so much easier because like I understand that like I have to work for everything that I have to do. Like I don't find like school that challenging because like I have that wrestling mentality.
Right.
And also like one of the 4 core values is like I think was service. Right. So I think that's one of the biggest things that changed for me, like being a mentor and understand like service is important, giving back to the community is important.
So for me, I think grit, like what Uzi said, taught me a lot to like push through adversity, always keep striving even though it's not there yet. Cause like I was the best wrestler. I'm still not the best wrestler, but I'm still trying to.
Second
like,
best?
Yeah, second best. I'm the second best on the team. So like I'm still trying to get there to make it to the state championship and stuff like that. And I think what Beat the Streets will help me in the future for is I'll be able to like take initiative and like go for what I want instead of waiting for things to come to me. Because for Beat the Streets, I was looking for something like Beat the Streets to better myself. And so now it's like giving me the confidence and the opportunity to like achieve other things in my life.
What's your favorite wrestling move?
Single leg.
Single leg
Yeah.
takedown? All right.
Yeah.
What's
For
your
me,
favorite?
it's a high crotch.
Oh,
I
high
hit
crotch?
that every time.
Can I change my answer?
Oh, you want to change that?
Yeah.
All right. What's
All right,
your
cross.
second favorite move?
Crossface.
Crossface.
Yeah. Crossface cradle.
Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah. If the ref doesn't see it, you can get away with it.
If he doesn't see it, but if he does see it, what happens?
I mean, prepare for the
Maybe a
consequences of
warning.
it.
That's about
Yeah,
it.
you get a
Warning.
warning. Like,
Alright.
yeah,
That's what, half a point or a point?
no
Nah,
points.
no
The
points.
first
Just the
time.
one? Alright.
First
First
time,
time,
no
yeah.
points. Yeah.
So here's your chance to sell Beat the Streets Philadelphia to the young men and women out there. What are you going to say to them to convince them to become part of your program?
I'd say that Beat the Streets is a great program to go to because there's a group of people there that care about like your being and how you develop over time. Because like when going into the Beat the Streets office, I was a little uncomfortable because I didn't know many people. But like over time, I like made friends with a lot of people and like made connections. I got connections with Drexel wrestlers, UPenn wrestlers. I've been able to go to college tours in Bucknell, Thaddeus Stevens University. Like I get to like get experiences from many different areas of Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, and like you get to travel a lot also if you're like part of like, the wrestling programs.
Right,
Like
yeah.
That's
I went to Virginia for like the wrestling tournaments. I went to North Carolina for camps and stuff like that. So it's a very rewarding program if you like
How long were those?
commit to it. They were like week-long tournaments, so like it was a fun time. Yeah.
All right, here's your chance. What's your
Okay,
pitch?
so just following up from him, making friends. I think like one of the best aspects of Beat the Streets is like the family environment. You're always surrounded by people who they're positive influences. They're in college, they're getting their career intact, and you're following them. I think that's one of the best reasons to be at Beat the Streets.
Great. So you're in Drexel.
Yeah,
What's your plans after you graduate Drexel?
and I'm actually working on my grad degree right now
Straight?
as an undergrad.
Wow.
Yeah, so like it's like an accelerated, so it's good.
And you're going to become a
Epidemiologist.
nice epidemiologist.
Yeah.
Going big time. And yourself?
For me, I go to Central right now, so I'm focusing on like the mathematics because I want to be a mechanical engineer. So that's my major. That's what's going to be my major in college. And like I'm looking at my top 5 schools right now as UPenn, Princeton, Cornell, Bucknell, and NC State, and I'm looking to wrestle there too.
And after college?
And after college, I would like to work at like some big name company in like Silicon Valley or something like that.
Silicon Valley. That's
Yeah.
nice.
Like what he's saying, like that's so crazy to me because I feel like without Beat the Streets, you wouldn't be thinking about Ivy. Like he's thinking about Ivy.
Right,
and he has
right.
a chance to get
Yes.
to get into those schools. So I think it's giving them the confidence to like go after that.
That's great.
Yeah.
So have you had to wrestle against each other?
Yeah, we haven't wrestled like in the actual match because he was a senior when I was in 8th grade. But like we wrestle each other in practice. He's like pretty fast. So like if you wrestle each other now, I'd say we're neck and neck.
So what's
I don't know if you
most
see that,
important, to be fast or to be strong?
To be technically sound.
That's what I
Yeah,
was
technically
gonna say,
sound
technically
and
sound.
smart when
Smart.
wrestling.
So how difficult is it to become technically sound?
I think that's the hardest part. You can lift, you can get stronger, but it's just every day you're at practice,
Right.
drilling, memorizing, writing down your moves.
Yeah, it takes repetition to like master a move. Like Bruce Lee said, it takes, if you practice one kick 10,000 times, you'll get it better again. Practicing 10,000 kicks one time each.
Exactly.
So like, the main focus in the wrestling room is to get repetitions in for each move. If you want to master that move and like do that in match and stuff like that.
Great. So I want to thank you both for coming on the show. I look forward to great things from both of you.
Appreciate you having us.
That's all the time we have today. I'd like to thank my guests from Beat the Streets Philadelphia. If you would like to find out more about the organization, please visit the website at btsphilly.org. I'm your host, Derrick Sawyer. Thank you for watching Future Leaders in Philadelphia, where we believe investing in our youth is investing in our future.